Hello, my name is Rafiqat Kazmi, and today I will teach you everything you need to know about Uml Use Case Diagram. We'll start with a high-level overview, and then we'll talk about systems, actors, use cases, and relationships. And finally, we'll build an entire use case diagram together and go over some examples to explain these concepts in depth. Have you ever had an idea that makes perfect sense in your head, but when you try to explain it to someone else, they're completely lost? Maybe your ideas for a new app, and every time you talk about it, people don't really understand how they interact with it, or what I would do? This type of scenario is where a use case diagram is super helpful. Here's a simple description of a use case diagram. First, it shows a system or application. Then it shows the people, organizations, or other systems that interact with it. And finally, it shows a basic flow of what the system or application does. It's a very high-level diagram and typically won't show a lot of detail, but it's a great way to communicate complex ideas in a fairly basic way. But before we get too far into this tutorial, let's talk about how you're going to make a use case diagram. You could use a pen and paper to draw them out, but a diagramming application is going to be way easier. Today I'll be using Lucidchart, and you can too. For free actually. Just click the link to access Lucidchart's website. Enter your email address, and then you can follow along with me as we create these use case diagrams, okay? So we're gonna break down use case diagrams into 4 different elements: systems, actors, use cases, and relationships. Let's start with systems. A system is whatever you're developing. It could be a website, a software component, a business process, an app, or any number of things. You represent a system with a rectangle, and you put the name of the system at the top. We're going to build the use case diagram for a very simple banking application. We'll call our system Banking App. This rectangle helps define the scope of the system. Anything within this rectangle happens inside the banking app. Anything outside this rectangle doesn't happen in the banking app. The next element is actor, which is depicted by this stick figure. An actor is gonna be someone or something that uses our system to achieve a goal. That could be a person, an organization, another system, or an external device. So, who or what is going to be using our banking app? Well, the most obvious actor is a customer. We're gonna have customers that download and use our banking app. Another actor that we'll want in our diagram is the bank. The bank is going to provide information that feeds into our banking app, like transactions and account balances. Here are a couple things to keep in mind when dealing with actors. First, it's important to note that these actors are external objects. They always need to be placed outside of our system. Second, actors need to be thought of as types or categories. For our banking app, an actor is going to be a specific individual or a specific organization. We wouldn't label our actors as John and Chase Bank. We want to keep things categorical. And this brings us to the topic of primary and secondary actors. A primary actor initiates the use of the system, while a secondary actor is more reactionary. So, in our example, which actor is primary and which actor is secondary? The primary actor is the customer. The customer is going to initiate the use of our system. They're going to pull out their phone, open up the banking app, and do something with it. Bank, on the other hand, is a secondary actor. Bank is only going to act once. The customer does something the customer goes on the app to see how much money is in their account. Only then does the bank engage with our system to provide the balance. Primary actors should be to the left of the system and secondary actors to the right. This just visually reinforces the fact that customer engages with the banking app, and then the bank reacts. The next element is a use case. And this is where you really start to describe what our system does. A use case is depicted with this oval shape, and it represents an action that accomplishes some sort of task. Because they're actions that occur within the banking app. So, what is our banking app going to do? Well, we're going to keep things very simple. Our banking app is going to allow a customer to log in, check their account balance, transfer funds between accounts, and make payments toward bills. So, if this is what our banking app does, we're going to have use cases that describe each of those actions. Will have a use case called login, another called check balance, another called transfer funds, and finally make payment. You can see that each of these use cases starts with a verb and reinforces an action that takes place. We also want them to be sufficiently descriptive. If this use case only said transfer, that'd be way too vague. Finally, it's good practice to put your use cases in a logical order. When possible, that's why we put login at the top. That's the first thing that will happen when a customer uses our app. The final element in use case diagrams is relationships, an actor. So each actor has to interact with at least one of the use cases within our system. In our example, a customer is going to log into our banking app, so we draw a solid line between the actor and the use case to show this relationship. This type of relationship is called an association, and it just signifies a basic communication or interaction. A customer is going to interact with the rest of these use cases. As well, they're going to check balance, transfer funds, and make payments, so we'll draw solid lines out to each of those as well. Secondary actors will also have relationships. Remember, each actor has to interact with at least one use case. So, which use case will the bank interact with? Well, when a customer wants to check their balance on the app, the bank is going to provide the correct amount. Let's draw a line between bank and check balance. Similarly, when a customer wants to transfer funds or make a payment, the bank is going to follow through with those transactions. We don't need to draw a line to login because that process happens within the banking app. There's no need for the bank to actually get involved with the login process. There,